gentlemen, we're coming in live from Cebu, Philippines for the International Eucharistic Congress. This is the Eucharist, the Face of Mercy. I'm Bernard Factor Canyaveral. Mabuhay!
And mabuhay! My name is Angelique Lazo Mayuga.
I'm Father Joel Kamaya.
And Father Joel.
I'm Father
Yes.
Francis Castillo.
Yes, Father
Hi,
Francis
Father
is joining
Francis.
us.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Father
Yes,
Francis.
Father.
Thank you.
You
They're
know,
both from
the Salesian of Don
Don
Bosco.
Bosco.
Look at that. And they look the same already.
Well, over here,
Right.
Father Francis has been very busy, right? With
Very
all the,
busy. We've been trying to catch him
arrangements.
many times, but
Yeah.
this is the only time he could make himself
We're
available.
thankful. Finally, we
Yes.
have you
Finally.
with us.
Yes, and we're
A bit-
thankful for the students, the young people who came here, the painters that you introduced to us.
I'm very happy.
Right, yes. But before this, Father Francis, there was this beautiful discussion of Bishop Robert Barron on another issue that's very close to our heart. And I know Father Joel was there to really immerse himself in the discussion as well. Father
Yes.
Joel?
Yes, I was there, and practically his discussion was really very catechetical. He focused on the different aspects of the Eucharist as a meal. And then one thing that struck me, and I'd like to go to that point, is that he focused on the aspect of sacrifice.
Yes.
All right.
Something that has been forgotten many times, but something really important. It's because it's in the part of the Son of God to give Himself up, and it's really an aspect of worship in terms of the Israelites to give all that they have, and that is what the Son of God did.
And he kept mentioning something about right praise. That sometimes
Praise,
we
yes.
praise maybe in the wrong way, but when Christ finally offered himself in holy sacrifice, he corrected the way we should praise God, right? And of course, the third is about the real presence of Christ in the bread and wine.
Yes, and hopefully we'll have him tomorrow in the program to have more in-depth discussion on the topic, right? Yes. But a lot of people were also struck by the sharing of a
Marian.
testimony coming from
Marian,
Marian.
yes,
Father, were you
Servas.
were able to listen to this sharing of Marian
I was
Servas?
outside,
But then,
but I realized that the people are very much engaged
yes,
in the way that she was speaking about her experiences.
yes, yes. You remember anything about this sharing?
Oh, that for her really, the Eucharist is where you meet the Lord, you
Yes.
encounter the Lord
Yeah.
in a very, not only special way, but the real presence is most important for her.
And it was a personal, close encounter as well with the Lord, and all by herself. And
Right.
all his friends, relatives, and loved ones turned
In her lonesome.
in her lonesome. That must be a radical, really a radical decision of her life. Father Joel, what do you say?
Yeah, I think it's one of the effects that one has when one decides
Yes.
to be with the church. And I had a talk with her also now privately, and she was sharing that it did not bother her so much anymore, that sort of persecution that she got, that she was not accepted. Of course, she continued to love these people because they were close to her. But in the end, because her love was for Christ, then it did not matter.
Yes. For those who missed the sharing of
Marian Servas.
we will be able to interview her again
Yeah.
later on in our
Here.
program. So
Here in this
don't
program.
go away. We will
Yes.
be presenting
And
that
be
to
more
you.
intimate about
That's
this
right.
interview. Yes.
And to think she lived in the Philippines for many years.
For 7 years.
For 7 years, and then moved
years.
back to Belgium. We were talking earlier, and I said, Belgium is so beautiful. And she
Alright.
says, yes, on the outside, but sadly, something needs to change on the inside also.
Yeah.
And I think she was talking about the how people have moved away from their faith, and how life has become very secular in Belgium.
That's very true. Yes, that's very true. Father,
You know, I have a little take about that presence.
presence.
She
The
gave
real- yes.
a wonderful element of the Eucharist's presence.
All right.
You know that this theological, let's say, scheme of the International Eucharistic Congress has been purely done in the Philippines. the Vatican did not impose this theme.
Oh.
This is a theme that
good to
came
hear.
from 15 professors of theology in the Philippines, based in the Philippines.
This
So we were-
Christ,
Christ
in you.
The hope,
our hope,
the hope
our
of
hope.
glory.
Wow.
Yes. But there was
So
once
this is homegrown theme.
homegrown,
That's
Asian.
very good. What,
and
what about
Filipino.
before, Father Francis?
Well, I believe that all the other theological Eucharistic congresses were given that occasion by Rome that they develop a theme that is closer home to them.
All right.
And we were coming from that Dublin 2012, the Eucharist as communion. So we thought that in tandem with the Vatican II's understanding of the Church as communion and mission, why don't we take up a sequel to the
Yes.
Eucharist as communion, then Eucharist now as mission.
Mission. Because you cannot but share and bring Christ
Of
to
course,
others. And
of
that's
course.
the mission aspect.
But it's an angle that has never been fully
Touched.
developed and touched in
Yes.
any Eucharistic Congress at all.
So again, this is also
It's a
the
gift of Asia. And here in the Philippines, we're in Asia, it's a gift of Asia to the understanding of the Eucharist.
You know what? There's a lot of first in this Congress. First to be broadcast international through television.
That's right.
And,
And of course, we'd like to thank RTVM for the
Yes.
facilities that they have lent us to be able to beam this
yes.
to many
And
parts of the world.
Also EWTN and all our
EWTN.
media partners has been supporting this broadcast. But you know what?
But I was saying about the Eucharist as presence,
Yes.
because it was taken up by Marian. Father Revelo is now 90 years old. I was inviting him to come to Cebu.
this.
Yes.
He said, no way. 2 years ago, we were discussing this theme.
Already.
He comes up with a very casual, but casual but excited feeling about something he read at the age of 88, something new about the Eucharist. And he said, we've always been discussing the Eucharist as how come the bread becomes the body of the Savior? Diba that's always the tanong,
Yeah, the question.
that's
The
always been the question.
Right.
How is it that the Eucharist is a piece of bread and becomes now the body of Christ?
Right.
And so we have a highfalutin theology about substance, transubstantiation, and so on.
All those things.
Father
All
Revelo
those big
says,
words. Huh?
yes, which is very difficult to explain. And in the end of the explanation, say, but it's a mystery.
All right.
Father Revelo says, I read something new. The
And-
now question is, how is it that God, in Jesus Christ, His Son, chose to be bread? It's an inverse of the question. How is it
God
that God
choose to be
wants
bread.
to be bread?
I think we just have to pause a little bit on that for
Makes me wonder.
the televiewers to also think of that profound question of yours, Father Francis. You just stay with us because we will be delivering the answer coming from Father Francis.
Don't go away.
Don't go away. It's Father Arevalo.
Hundreds of cardinals, archbishops, bishops, and priests are gathered to concelebrate with the papal legate, His Eminence Charles Mayong Cardinal Bo. Pope Francis appointed him to be his representative for the opening Mass of the 51st International Eucharistic Congress. Hundreds of thousands of pilgrims from all over the world flocked to Cebu City's Plaza Independencia as they waited for the opening Mass of this international event. They stood and braved the scorching heat even as they were entertained by the colorful pre-programmed cultural presentation showcasing the beginnings of Christianity in Cebu and the Philippines. The Mass started promptly at 4 o'clock in the afternoon as scheduled. After the introductory rites, Monsignor Renato Beltran, Chancellor of the Archdiocese of Cebu, read the appointment letter of the papal legate by Pope Francis. Archbishop Jose Palma of the Archdiocese of Cebu officially welcomed and greeted Cardinal Bo and showed Pope Francis gifts to the Filipino people, a white gospel book with the official logo of the Year of Mercy. In his homily, Cardinal Bo used English, Tagalog, and Cebuano languages. He said that the Eucharist and the poor are inseparable. He said, the love of the Eucharist helps us to love the poor, and emphasized the Eucharist as both dream and reality. Reality because Jesus is truly present, and a dream because it is our hope of the future. Lay ministers and deacons strategically positioned themselves in the area to help distribute Holy Communion, while cadets, bearing white umbrellas, indicated the communion stations. The faithful systematically approached the communion stations nearest them. After the celebration of the Holy Eucharist, the Coro de San Agustin of Tuguegarao City and the Christ the King Youth Symphony Orchestra of Calbayog City sang the official theme song of the 51st International Eucharistic Congress. The opening Mass for the 51st International Eucharistic Congress has been celebrated. Until our next coverage for the 51st International Eucharistic Congress, this has been Fry Robin Ross Plata, OAR, for CBCP Media and Recoletas Communications.
Right, welcome back to our special coverage, and we still have with us Father Francis Gustillo, SDB.
Yes,
And what were we talking about? The inverse question that Father Arevalo had posed about why did God choose His Son to become bread?
Jesus Christ is to be bread.
All right.
So really, you taste bread, you see bread. And the understanding is this: God chooses to be small.
Oh.
That's the true God. The true God that wants to come down to the level of humanity, even to the level of the cosmos, of the earth, and be taken even from the earth. And He says, here I am present. I'm not far away. I'm not above the clouds. I'm not in the heavens above. And you are there below as small little creatures that I have made. I am one with you. And in becoming bread, it's so identifiable because, well, in that milieu, in that culture, bread is something edible, the most common food. And He wants to be food. Why? For only one reason. He wants to be with us. Or better, He wants us to be with Him.
So, Father Catalina's discussion on your point is that this God we're talking about is not the God in heaven that is so far away, that's so hard to reach, and is not listening to us.
Right. And, you know, I'm sorry to say this, but big shots, great people, they have a cordon sanitaire.
Yes.
Untouchable, unreachable.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And this Holy Father now says, I don't want that cordon.
Yeah.
Set me free. And that is God. He says, I don't have a cordon. You can come to me at any given time. Now, the sad part is that we're not used of a great man to be small.
Yes.
We always think that we small wish to be great.
Yeah.
That's the learning point about this Eucharist.
All right.
That the one who is great becomes small.
I hope many priests also are listening to that point, Father, because sometimes a lot of parishioners were asking, why this priest, we cannot talk to him because he's always busy and he
Right.
cannot touch
Very
him, get in
true.
touch
But
with
actually,
him.
that also applies to politicians,
Right.
to
To the
business
president
leaders,
and the
everybody.
OICs and everybody,
Right.
yes. And sometimes even to parents. Children
They're up on a pedestal and they
can no
can't,
longer
go
approach
down.
their parents. Yeah.
What
So
about
that
the-
is the message
Right? That's the real message.
of the Eucharist.
And that's not a mystery.
All right.
Rather, it is a wonder. It's something amazing, a person, that this person who is supposed to be high up there is capable of coming down to our level. And we always wonder when we meet those kind of persons, like Pope Francis. You know, the first time that this Pope, I don't know in how many hundreds of years, eats every day.
With the
He
employees.
has
of
shed the
Vatican.
papal trappings of like a apartment, that beautiful apartment. He chooses to sleep in
In
that
hotel.
hotel, Martha's Hotel. And then he eats, he brings his own tray of food
yes.
so that he can eat with everybody. He's
That's how I
in touch.
met him
How nice.
Yes.
in 2013
Okay.
In Vatican?
in the Vatican.
Yes.
Since I was in the International Theological Commission,
Yes.
Right.
he would come BLD, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And be mixed with the people around?
Well, he has got a special table.
Yes.
All right.
No, it's
But
not
he-
a formal gathering where he is formally always with people, but
Uh-huh.
he is with people.
Can you approach him and talk to him?
We were told not
easily?
to approach him because he's got his own business, he's got his own. But you
But the
could,
very
you could
idea.
smile and he smiles back at you.
Could you do selfies with the Pope?
That
Okay.
would be too much. But
Right.
what is interesting, he has made the Pope very tangible
Yes.
Yes.
in the reach of everyone.
Right.
Father Joel, you have a take on what we're talking about the bread or something? Yes.
Yeah, something struck me with the talk of Bishop Barron this
Barron.
morning. It was something related to that. And, he related it through the words of that philosopher, Ludwig Feuerbach, whom he quoted. And Feuerbach would say, we are what we eat.
I was going to say that.
Yes, whatever we eat, then it becomes
become.
part of it. It becomes us.
Us,
But with the Eucharist, when we eat it, then we become part of Him. We become part of Jesus.
And Christ is.
Yes. And there's another line that struck me. He says that words are powerful, right?
Powerful.
And words can be descriptive, but words can also be creative, and and like because Jesus is the Word, then what He says is. Can you explain that some more, please? It's a little bit up here, but it's
Father Francis
but it
will
is
be able to
beautiful.
explain
Yes,
that
Father
very well.
Francis.
By the way, he's my professor.
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
really?
Because he said that this is my body. He doesn't say it represents me. It is and is. I am present right here, right now, in this Eucharistic sacrifice.
Simply put, what you see, what you get, what you eat, it is.
But therefore, the collateral elements are, I am small. Though great, I am actually small.
Yeah.
Though seemingly a creator, I am among my creatures. Because truly, the point of God is to be with us, so that we may be with Him. And this is the core of this International Eucharistic Congress.
Okay. Now, having said that, we were talking off the air about how was the lineup of speakers decided on. I mean, when we knew 4 years ago that we were going to host this 51st International Eucharistic
And how to
Congress.
manage all this big crowd
how
going in
far-
and out, and there's another venue.
Yes, plus the invitations. How long ago did the
Yes.
invitations go out to the speakers?
So 2012, in Dublin,
It was
we were
announced.
nominated as the next.
Yes.
So immediately, Archbishop Jose Palma
Nasa Palma.
created a
committee.
committee, also because he was then the president of the CBCP.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
And therefore, creating that team, he wanted first, what would be the theme? And so he put up the 15, more or less 15 professors of theology from different schools. In a way, I represented Don Bosco Center of Studies. There was Father Revera for Loyola School of Studies.
Yes.
There was Father Antonin Lim of the SBD of Tagaytay. There was Jess Malit of the Blessed Sacrament, Vincentians, and so forth and so on. Even Father Gerald Timoner, who is now in the International
OP.
Theological Commission. So we were, Father Ansgar Chupungko was there, of course. And we were giving our suggestions, like saying, put 3 ideas in a paper. Let's see what we think all about this International Eucharistic Congress. But gradually, everybody was gravitating to Father Arevalo, the guru, that's we say.
Of the theologians.
That Cardinal Sin says, this is the dean, not only of theologians in the Philippines, of Asian theologians.
yes,
Okay. So when we were gravitating to him, he says, for me, make it simple, easy. The Federation of Asian Bishops Conference have always said that here in Asia, Christianity is on mission. That is, our presence here is not simply to stay around and be happy, communion. a communion of brothers and friends. And no, it is a mission. So why don't we look at the Eucharist as mission? So it was quite a difficult task to say. So here comes that the Eucharist is a mission on, let's say, on the earth, because it comes, bread comes from the
Yes.
earth. So the care of creation. That was one idea, nice. Or let's say it's a bread broken. Why don't we look at the question of injustice, oppression in Asia, and in the world for that matter? Why don't we talk about justice and
So you're
peace?
having talking points already
Yes.
lined up, huh?
Then Father Revalo again comes out and say, you know, in the Federation of Asian Bishops Conference, mission is dialogue. Why? Of the 3.3 billion inhabitants of Asia,
Asia.
160 million are Catholics, 5%. And of the 160 million, 85 million are Filipinos. And
So that's more
what
than
does a
half.
5% do? If you are 5 among 100 Muslims in Indonesia, and you are 5 Catholics, let's say a family of 5 in a village of 100 Buddhists in Thailand,
Yes.
how do you do mission? Unless you first live the life of these people, appreciate the food, even dress their own dresses, learn their language. But more importantly, he says, in Asia, it's a dialogue of culture. We have also to dialogue with their religious tradition like Hinduism, Buddhism, the Muslim faith, Confucianism, and dialogue with the poor. Then we added dialogue with the young. How does the dialogue happen? So here comes, what would be the biblical handle? Here, Father Joel is a biblical scholar. What would be the biblical passage that would hinge this theme of mission? So here comes Father Arevalo. I'll study on that. And comes up with a Pauline letter to the Colossians.
Yes.
And this letter is speaking to the Gentiles who are non-Jewish, that means Colossae. He says, you know, now that Christ is in you, you are the hope of glory. What is glory? If not the glory of God. The glory of God means the fullness of what humanity and God is all about. The fullness of life. And this is a hope of everyone. Everyone hopes to have this godly experience. Especially in Asia, we are not just religions, we are spiritualities. We're seeking the ways of God. Could it be through Allah? Could it be through Buddha? Could it be through the Hinduistic gods? But we're having this search for a life with God. Now, the idea among these great religions is they are searching to have a life with God. In the Christian faith, it's God who seeks our life to be with us. So now he becomes Eucharist. And so Christ in us,
Our
Christ
hope
in
and
us is
glory.
now the Eucharist, no? The Christ that we receive in the Eucharist, supposedly is to transform
Right,
us.
yes.
How does it transform us? Well, it transforms us to become better persons. If you receive the Eucharist daily, it should somehow rub into you, like, if love is kind, you must be more kind. If love is patient, you
There,
must be
there has to
patient.
be some transformation that's
Sure, you,
happening
you
in
cannot
your
be
heart.
rude. As 1 Corinthians 13 says,
Yes.
love is kind, love is patient,
Patient.
love is never rude, doesn't count on the wrongs, and blah, 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 blah. You must become honest. You must become not greedy. You must become like this and like that. You become a human person, a truly human person. Now, put a Catholic, a Christian, receiving the Eucharist, being transformed by that Eucharist, among, let's say, 100 Muslims or Hindus. Would they want to become Catholic? No. But when they see this man, a good woman, an honest friend, a kindly person, generous, charitable, all the good qualities of a human person, they'd like to be like that person, more human. And probably they'll become a better Buddhist or a better Hindu. You have started the role of mission. You have given them Christ.
So it's not necessarily saying things and saying, I'm going to convert you.
Right.
No, no.
Nothing like that. It's just living the virtues of a good person.
humanity.
I think that's evangelization for us. We're no longer converting, but to evangelize, so that
Living
they
as
see
a
in us
living
Christ.
testimony.
Yes, yes,
It's not proselytism.
yes.
Yes. Example, the best example is Mother Teresa. She will become a saint, proclaimed a saint in September. Do you know that when she died, the Indian Congress decreed that the so-called carriage that brought the
Mother
body
Teresa.
of
Of Mother Teresa.
Nehru and even Gandhi
Oh my.
Be-
be taken out from the museum and carry the body of Mother Teresa.
And those are revered figures.
Very
in-
revered
yes, in
figures,
their-
fathers of democracy.
yes.
Why did they give it to Mother Teresa when they were discussing in India? Because she's the mother of India.
Even if
She
she's
is an Albanian. She is
Yes,
a
born
Catholic
in Albania.
Nun.
nun. She's not Indian,
Yes.
but she's human.
And no question if she's a Christian or a Catholic. Then.
Because her clinic is not for Catholics, it's Christian. Her
it's for
clinic is for anyone in
everyone.
need.
And she tended to people who were dying in the streets. It didn't matter what their
And the
religion
beautiful thing is
was.
that she became a blessed. Her miracle was to a Muslim woman or to a Hindu woman, not to a Catholic. To a woman who is praying for healing and took the name of Teresa of Calcutta.
Those are beautiful, wonderful, great stories, Angelique, right?
I know.
Touching our hearts and changing our understanding more of the Eucharist. Yes.
Yes, that's the core.
Yeah, that's the core. But did you have a hard time putting all this together?
I would imagine, like, you know, Bishop Barron probably has an appointment list that's a million pages long or
Well,
something.
in that sense, somehow Vatican will have a clout on that.
All right.
Okay.
But the choice was like this: international. So therefore, we have to touch 5 continents, including Australia.
Yes, yes.
So we must have representations from all of the continents.
And we do.
And we did.
And we have about 72
Countries represented here.
represented here.
Yes. The speakers should be hefty in their knowledge, but also capable to popularize, not just above. That's one of our criteria. We could have a better people coming here, really highfalutin.
Yeah.
But
But-
it might just breeze through. I mean, it might be too up in the clouds, maybe.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Our experience this past few days really is grinding in our hearts already.
So therefore, if yesterday there was this Archbishop Miguel Vidarte Cabrejos
Yeah.
Vidarte, he's from South America.
Yes.
He's a Peruvian from Trujillo. Now this morning we have a North American,
Yes.
and tomorrow we'll have an Indian.
Yes. And
And
although
supposedly Cardinal Turkson
Yes,
is an
yes,
African,
right.
although he's not coming, but he has a paper that will be read.
okay.
And then on Thursday, it will be again a Filipino, Cardinal Tagle. And then, but on Friday, we shall have in the first lineup, Onayakan, Cardinal Onayakan of Nigeria, Africa. We go to Africa. And then in the same morning, we shall have Oswald Gracious, but he again just sent his paper, another Indian. And finally, Timothy Dolan. From Oceania, we gave it in the Theological Symposium, and that is Francis Moloney.
Yeah.
And then from the UK, from Europe, is Timothy Radcliffe.
Yes.
So they are in the concurrent sessions, they are speakers.
Yes.
And then we look after that. This, I think, is a wonderful Congress because we look for life witnessing. So again, we identified who are real life witnesses. So Cardinal Zen,
Yes. And our next
Then
guest
Marian
in the
serve us.
Yes. Yes.
and then there will be a family
Yes.
coming over, telling us about the Eucharist in their life as a family.
Concrete.
Yeah, with their children. They're coming here.
And these stories resonate with our delegates because they can identify with them. I'm sure our delegates from Vietnam are also going through some kind of challenges in the practice of their faith. And hearing Cardinal Zen talk about that spurs them to be stronger and to be more inspired to continue, right?
And you know what? I just missed this talk of Monsignor Diego Monroy,
Sí,
Ponce.
señor,
oh,
porque él estaba hablando en español y por
I
eso
do
es
not
muy
understand.
difícil, ¿no? Para
But I
entender.
gather that he's talking about religiosity, popular religiosity in
Practicing your
yes,
faith.
yes,
uh-huh.
faith, and how culture would come into this kind of piety of people as well. So, it's wonderful.
It's
It's
very, very
wonderful,
rich.
right? Friends, as we were talking about life's experiences and testimonies of people, after the gap we will have, as we mentioned,
Yes.
Marianne
Servas,
Servas to share with us in a most intimate
She used to belong to an
evangelical
church,
yes.
but she met the Lord in the Holy Eucharist.
Yes.
So we will talk about that in just a while. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Stay with us.
The Pavilion serves as the melting pot of thousands of Catholics, representing 72 countries for the second day of the 51st International Eucharistic Congress. Today's event opened with the morning prayers, led by Most Reverend Patricio Buzon, SDB, DD, and the Jesuit seminarians. Following the morning praise, the Most Reverend Miguel Cabrejos Vidarte, OFM, DD, the Metropolitan Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Trujillo in Peru, gave a catechesis to the assembly with the theme, Christ in you, our hope of glory, a pastoral reflection on Colossians chapter 1, verse 27. Major points of his talk revolved around, among other points, he stressed that all the faithful should be like St. Paul in becoming a servant for the Church. He also accentuated the inseparability of the Church and the Gospel. His Eminence, Joseph Cardinal Zen, SDB, DD, Bishop Emeritus of Hong Kong, shared his testimony as to how the Chinese Christians bravely endured the persecution during the rise of communism in China. Culminating the morning program was the celebration of the Holy Eucharist, presided by the Most Reverend Piero Marini, DD, President of the Pontifical Committee for International Eucharistic Congresses. In a press conference that lasted for 1 hour at the Media Center, the Most Reverend Jose Palma, along with Archbishop Piero Marini, Father Vittore Bucardi, Bishop Milo Vergara, and Father Jose Quilong Quilong, announced that a world-famous host of the program Word and Fire, Bishop Robert Barron, will be present in this week-long Congress. The afternoon program included 4 concurrent sessions. The one inside the pavilion is entitled The Christian Virtue of Hope by Reverend Father Timothy Radcliffe, OP. The Waterfront Hotel was the venue for the other 3 concurrent sessions. The Manifold Dimensions of Eucharistic Hope by Reverend Father Paul Vucci He, SSS. Reverend Father Francis Maloney, SDB, talked about the Word of God, Jesus Christ, and the Eucharist, Christian hope in the secularizing world, while Ambassador Tamara discussed the Church as a woman, the missionary and pastoral role of women in the Church. It has been a Eucharist-inspired day for all the participants of the International Congress here in Cebu. For CBCP Media and Recoleros Communications, with Fry Robin on camera and Fry Kenneth on audio, this is Fry Jezreel Marcha OAR reporting.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. It's still the Eucharist, the face of mercy, and we
Yes,
have with
and
us
as
now.
promised, we have with
Yes.
us a very beautiful testimony
Yes.
witnessing of the role of the Holy Eucharist in her life. In fact, this is her life today. We have with us Marianne Servas from Belgium. Welcome to our program. Okay, so a lot of people were touched by your testimony today, and you brought some tears. You were just talking from the heart, right?
Yes.
Even
I can
if
tell
you-
you in all honesty, I was talking from the heart. Yes.
And so, just to for those who were not able to catch your testimony this morning, just briefly tell us how that conversion or that change happened in your life.
Well, if I tell it briefly, there was first a time of preparation, which very much happened in this country. And as I tried to say this morning, through joy, the joy that you Filipinos as a people possess in a way that I have not experienced anywhere else. And as I said this morning, to me that was and continues to be sacramental. It is of Christ. Joy is more foundational to humanity, to being human, than suffering. And you live that. And for me, living here for 7 years before becoming a Catholic prepared my heart and my head to begin to see the beauty of Catholic life, but especially the Eucharist. But that was the preparation. The real moment of complete change, when my life did turn upside down, was during the Eucharist itself. And there, as I said this morning, there were two moments. One was the Litany of the Saints, to hear Ora pro nobis, and then the names, Sancta Maria, Sancta Petri, etc., etc. That moved me very, very deeply, because I felt in my whole being, this is our family. They are present, present as the people I spoke to this morning, as present as you are now, as present as the viewers are. They are real. And it gave me an incredible sense of home. This is where we belong with them in Christ. But the second moment, which I find difficult to talk about because it is so unbelievably beautiful, was during the lifting of the host. The consecrated host, the moment the priest lifts it up, at that moment I just knew he is present. Not only spiritually, not only emotionally, really,
And
as
not
fully as
symbolically.
possible. Not symbolic either. Symbolism is interesting, but it's a second or third movement. First, there's reality. He is, and he is present. And that changed my life. I could not but become a Catholic. I had no other choice. Well,
Before-
I did, but I didn't want to make it. Yeah.
Before becoming Catholic, you belonged to Free Evangelical
That's
Church.
right. Yes. Yeah.
And so,
And-
yes, you also said that you had to prepare yourself when you were already in Belgium. How did that happen?
The time of preparation before becoming a member of the Catholic
Yes.
Church. Well, I'll be very honest, that was not easy. On the one hand, because I came from a free evangelical background, many of the people in that community did not understand why I wanted to become a Catholic. To them, it felt as a kind of desertion or as a betrayal, even, because of their particular understanding of what it means to be a believer, to be a Christian. But I understand where they're coming from. Yeah, I was one. And an honest one, it wasn't as if I was ever reluctantly a free evangelical. It's just that I discovered a greater depth. And the image that has come to my mind is I grew up in an aquarium of free evangelicalism. Then I swam in a larger lake of a broader form of Protestantism. Now I'm in the ocean. All the water is of God. But boy, give me the ocean. Because there's unity and diversity, and a lot more adventure as well. But it was hard for my background to see what was happening or to understand why anyone would want to become a Catholic. But the Catholic Church in Flanders, where I live, found it as difficult. They didn't know what to do with us. I remember we asked the priest, now, how do you become a Catholic? And he said to me, oh, well, just sign this piece of paper. We're like,
That's it.
we want to become a Catholic and you give us bureaucracy? It didn't make any sense. So that was a hard way as well, because in the church in Flanders, nobody wants to become a Catholic. You know, there are more people leaving than joining, and so there's no knowledge of how do people become part of the Roman Catholic Church. But eventually all was well, and we were received in a very beautiful way during the Easter Vigil, a year after that very profound experience.
Did you receive some catechism lessons or
No.
classes? Nothing?
No, to be honest, I had to do
So-
my own. But the
did
last
you do
days
that?
before, well, mainly there were some international students that I knew. Some of them happened to be priests. One
Oh.
from Nigeria, for example.
Alright.
One from the Philippines, who I just met earlier today. It was funny to see him.
Yeah.
But yes, but there was a sense of, they knew that we needed to have some input, and they helped us by giving us the right material, coming to our home, talking to our children about becoming Catholic. But in terms of the church in Belgium itself, that was very difficult. At one point, we asked the priest of, I won't say which parish, just in case there are Belgians listening there, but who said, well, my parish, they can't accept you during Easter. They can't receive you into the church because, no, they can't. I'm like, why not? They can't. No more answer. Afterwards, I realized it's because to that church, that congregation, to become a Catholic was seen to be anti-ecumenical. You're a Protestant, you have to remain a Protestant. They did not understand why we would want to become a Catholic. Once I understood that, it was helpful. I understood where they were coming from, what their prejudices are, their lack of understanding, or their imbalanced point of view, maybe.
Prejudices.
But we
Yes,
really have
yeah.
to admire your fortitude, your steadfastness to stay the course, because other
Encourage,
people
eh?
might just say, wait a minute, they don't even want me here. Father Joel, what's happening in situations like that when the church, you cannot even go to the church itself?
Even before that, there are many instances that one leaves his or her religion because of a bad experience, because of hatred, and even the other way around, from Catholic to others. But the thing that struck me in your talk is it was none of that. It was
Exactly.
another thing. This love for Christ. I think you could deliver that even better than I have said it right now. Yeah.
Well, that is true. See, you're right. If I had said, it was so tough in the evangelical community, I struggled and they're so bad over there,
Yeah.
maybe there would have been a different response, but that's not the case. And, it was a falling in love, absolutely, with the Eucharist, but particularly the way Christ is present in the Eucharist. And that's something you cannot really say so easily to someone who has not gone through that experience, who's never had any help in beginning to understand what that means. In fact, one of the things I did discover is for many evangelical Protestants, and we have to make distinctions because within Protestantism, as you know, there are many different families.
Yes.
But within free evangelicalism, thinking comes before living. What unites evangelicals is what they believe, their confession. What unites us as Catholics, and the same is true for the Orthodox community, is the Eucharist. It's a sacrament. And that's the fundamental difference. It's a different understanding of what it means to be church. But if in the Catholic Church, as is the case in the situation in Flanders, people no longer understand what a
Yes.
sacrament is, it's harder to understand why you want to leave an evangelical community. Plus, many evangelicals, also the ones I know in the Philippines, they have a strong faith. They have a profound love for God.
Yes.
They really do want to follow
Yes.
Christ, and they do, and often with tremendous sacrifices. Willingness to leave everything behind and go anywhere to follow Jesus. They're very warm, they're very welcoming, very centered on the Bible. So it's not negative, as you said. It's not a negative, they're not good enough. No.
So you were baptized now.
I was
Catholic.
baptized.
And then later on you have to receive
Yes.
you have to have the communion also.
Yes.
How was it?
Yeah. To receive communion the first time?
Yes.
Well, I was baptized in an evangelical church when I was 13.
All right.
Personal choice. Again, a difference.
Yes.
Yeah? For baptism is not a sacrament with free evangelicals.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have any
Okay.
sacraments. It's a personal choice, a testimony. But once I became a Catholic, the moment before communion, the moment I was accepted in full communion with the Catholic Church is the moment you say the creed. I believe in one God, etc., etc. And that moment, my baptism became a sacrament. And that really moved me, even just saying that. Plus, I'm always moved when I say the creed. Just to know that this binds us to the very early church, 4th, 5th century. Oh, wow, it's amazing. But then came the moment of communion. I had not participated. The moment I decided I cannot but become a Catholic because I'm in love, at that moment, I also decided I can no longer accept communion, the Lord's Supper, in an evangelical community either. Nor can I accept it, the Eucharist, in a Catholic. I can't. So for about a year, there was this. And the positive thing of that was a deep longing grew.
Yes.
A desire that became physical. Because that's one of the joys of being a Catholic. It's very physical. It's not only your mind, it's also your body. Sign of the resurrection. But then came that moment of receiving.
Yes.
And that's simply so unbelievably whole, beautiful, fulfilling. Just to know also and sense the humility of God. Here he is. Look at the
Body
universe.
and blood of Christ.
And he comes that small, that tiny, and allows himself to be eaten. It's amazing. It is amazing.
And this is giving substance to what we were also talking about earlier
Yes.
with
Yes.
Father Francis Bustido.
Yes, Father.
It's
Inviting-
bringing the incarnation even further. Yeah.
Exactly. The word incarnation, that's very, very important. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have many more things to discuss, so please don't go away
We'll
because
pause for a gulp and stay with us.
we'll be right back.
Beautiful.
When you see the host exposed, say to yourself, thanks to this body, I am no longer dust and ashes. I am no longer a captive, but a free man. Now, I hope to obtain heaven. We depart from that table, rendered objects of terror to the devil, refreshed in soul. I implore that no one draw near to this sacred table with a corrupt conscience. Such an act can never be called communion, but rather condemnation. The Paraclete himself established this ministry. For that reason, it behooves the bearer of the priesthood to be as pure as if we stood in the very heavens amidst those powers. When you see the Lord immolated and lying upon the altar, and the priest bent over the sacrifice praying, do you not with a pure mind and a clean heart contemplate the things of heaven? For they indeed, when they saw him but in a manger, drew near with great awe. But you behold him not in a manger, but upon the altar. Not a woman holding him in her arms, but the priest standing by, and the Spirit hovering over the gifts before us. You do not see merely this body as they did, but you know its power, and are ignorant of none of the holy things which will come to pass by it. For this table is the sinews of our soul, the bond of our mind, the foundation of our confidence, our hope, our salvation, our light, our life.
We've been so absorbed by Marian's sharing.
In fact, if you want to know more about her,
Right,
there will
yes.
be another interview that's
Yes.
been
Prepared,
taped,
yes.
prepared, yes. And this will air right after this program.
Right,
So
yes.
stand by for that. That's
Yes.
called Catholic Lives.
Uh-huh.
And then right after that is another interview with
Yes,
Archbishop Quevedo.
Cardinal Quevedo,
Cardinal
of
Quevedo
Cotabato.
of Cotabato.
Yes.
Okay,
So we prepared many things for you. And oh, Marian, you're just a wonderful, inspiring human being.
And you were
walking
saying
on earth.
off the air, it's not just you who became Catholic, but your husband and your
That's
4
right.
children.
My
as
husband
well.
and my children.
How many
yes.
children you have?
4.
4.
Boy, girl, boy,
Yes.
girl. Yes.
Yes, and now you're a catechist to your family and to your children.
I try.
And through your lives, Christ will be known, and you will be able to
That's
share
the main
Christ.
thing, mainly
Yes.
through how we live.
Yeah.
Not so much by what we say.
You keep us in your prayer.
I will.
And we'll
Yes.
keep you in our prayers.
Yes.
Thank you
Please
very
do.
much.
Please
Thank you so
do.
much.
Thank
And
you.
we will meet again some other time soon,
Yes.
perhaps.
I hope
See you
so.
in Belgium, maybe?
Always welcome.
Okay.
Free stay.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
very much.
Thank you.
That's Miss Marianne Service, and we're touched by the sharing of Marianne, right?
Yes, very inspiring.
Yes.
Okay, so in the meantime, what do we do first?
We will have this tour of Cardinal Bo.
Yes, Cardinal
because-
Bo was very busy today. In fact,
There you go.
this was not announced here in the plenary, but what he did do today, he toured
Yes.
the IEC Pavilion. He went around the grounds, and then together with Bishop Milo Hubert
Vergara of Pasig.
Pasig,
Yes.
and another, well, I think he was with Archbishop Palma as well.
Yes,
They
yes.
went around the studios of the IEC Pavilion.
And he even dropped by Radio Veritas
he visited
Philippines
the different
studio,
studios.
EWTN studio, and of
Yes.
course he showed all the places where people are gathering. And there you go. Yes.
And you know, Cardinal Bo has become a very popular figure in this Congress. Wherever
Yes.
he went, people
Now
were
this
trying
is the
to.
chapel. This is
Yes,
the
this is the
chapel
beautiful
built
chapel.
especially for this Congress. A beautiful one, very simple, but very elegant as well, right? And
And there are masses that are also ongoing inside the
Yes.
chapel, right, Father Joel?
I think the adoration for the whole
Adoration
day,
for
yes.
the whole day. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's Archbishop,
Archbishop Palma, Jose Palma of Metropolitan Cebu.
Cebu.
Right, that's the whole
And there he
entourage.
is on his
That's,
way to visit the many studios.
And the
of-
one in gray is Bishop Milo Hubert Vergara of Pasig, the one in charge of media
There's
in the
Studio 3.
Philippines. Yes. Oh, this is DYRF. DYRF, and that I
And this
think
is
I
Radio
believe our
Veritas,
studio.
I think
This is
these
our
guys
studio.
are
We're
familiar.
having our broadcast.
Yes, this was us earlier today. Very excited.
There you go. Yes.
And of course, he went on to visit the other studios.
Yes.
There we go.
And we're so blessed by his visit also, right?
Yes.
Right.
So this was in the earlier part of the day, 10,
That's
8,
Chichi
10 a.m.
Robles of
Yes.
EWTN.
WTN.
That's another studio that we have here. You know, we're blessed by each media
And
component
there's Edwin
contingent.
Lopez also of
Right.
EWTN.
EWTN, that's the one in charge. Right, and this is Aropagus of, if I'm not mistaken, Monsignor Pepe
Monsignor Pepe
Quitorio.
Quitorio.
Yes. Now, oh,
The second floor is largely reserved for the media. This is where the coverage is done.
Right.
So
this
that
is the overlooking.
overlooking the plenary hall. So this
Nobody
is
knew it, and it was during your talk that he came.
Yes. Right. And
this is where we are right
we
now.
have a vantage view actually of what's going on down.
This is the International Media Center.
Center
There
where we have our press
director,
conferences.
There's
Yes,
Louis
Yazar
of
Yazar.
RTVM.
Yes.
And of course, the people who are working with him.
And I think Louis is trying to explain to him how things work.
The setup is.
Yes.
This is where the press conferences are held every day.
And this is the nerve center.
The nerve center of
Yes.
RTVM.
That's Louis again. Very excited, showing him around. And we have a lot of things going. It's like a professional broadcast studio or a network at that, if I may say, because we have the complete facilities coming from RTVM. And the man in charge is Louis, yes?
Yes.
Correct. That's Francis Lucas of Catholic Media Network, yes.
And then also in the video is Father Lito Hobson,
Yes, yes.
who is with TV Maria.
TV
And
Maria.
TV Maria is also covering our event.
Right.
Okay.
A lot of
There's a
people
lot
are
of people-
swarming actually. Yeah?
A lot of people
They would
to
like to
see.
have a piece, a selfie.
That's right.
After that
You know
moving
that.
homily, last Sunday.
Last Sunday.
Last Sunday.
Where he called for world war against poverty, cruelty,
Yes.
injustice, and everything that we need to change in our world. Okay.
Yes.
He also visited the Cebu Provincial Jail at 3:30 this afternoon.
Right.
And of course, orange is the color of the day every day in the jail. And this is like Pope Francis, right? Pope
Yes.
Francis has always found time to visit those who are in prison.
Right.
Because this comes with the message of, what's this, corporal acts of mercy,
Yes, it's actually part of this Jubilee year.
part of the Jubilee
To
year.
visit the prisoners is part of that.
Mhm.
So,
The Year of Mercy. Year of Mercy.
so despite, our weather here in Cebu has
You
been
know.
unpredictable, very sunny in the morning.
Because
but
in the morning,
And hot.
I asked the weather girl, and
yes,
that's
it
you.
was partly cloudy with, now some rain showers.
Drizzling.
So those are the people now who are full force.
And they're all excited to meet Cardinal Bo.
Yes.
And I think they had a little performance for him, right?
Our
These inmates in Cebu, they're very popular.
our
because
inmates are known for their dancing
Yes.
skills. Yes. So let's take a look at what's going to happen while
And these are,
looks like they're
and that's one thing, although they are prisoner inmates, they have the time to pray. And to, there you go,
And
they're now
it
dancing.
is, Father Joel, many times those who are incarcerated or in prison, that's when they finally discover God, discover Christ. And so,
Yeah, I once entered the maximum security in Muntinlupa and joined their mass. And wow, the way they pray, the seminarians will be put to shame with how they pray.
And a lot
They-
of conversion also.
yeah, a lot of conversion.
so this is one of their
Synchronized dancing.
yes.
Yes.
These dances are very popular on YouTube. If you want to Google that.
Sometimes you won't think they're inmates. No? They really have prepared this one for the Cardinal. And I believe the Cardinal really enjoyed also this kind of presentation, because who would think that inmates would have time to rehearse, practice,
And if you think about
and don't
it,
leave the
many
the
of-
jail, no jailbreaks.
many of our inmates have led a very tough life.
Yeah.
And in fact, very hardened lives. And so to be able to practice and to work together, I mean, this takes a lot of, what do you call this, discipline and also tolerance for each other.
And even beyond that, the harmony that they have within the walls, within the bars.
And the little address of the cardinal of the inmate. You know, he resonates very much with us because of his color. He talks about it.
He always likes to say to
Thank
speak
you
in the
very much for your chance. And I wish I could join you in that.
He's not done yet, actually.
Right.
There's still something happening later on at 6:30 here at the Pavilion.
A lot of
Yes,
energy of
he will
that.
be meeting with the youth volunteers.
Tonight.
They're everywhere, and it's exciting. They're manning the food stations downstairs.
Yes.
They're giving directions, and they're guiding people to their seats. It's
Correct.
It's really amazing the energy that they're bringing into this Congress, right?
Yes, that's true. But then I received many of these tweets again from our hashtag
Are
Eucharist.
those the tweets?
Yeah,
How
some of
many
them,
tweets do
just
we
of
have?
them. Well, according to Monsignor
Pepe
Pepe,
Quitorio.
there are about 15 million tweets. Huh?
Oh, that's a lot.
It
That's
looks like
a lot.
there's some trending
That's
going on.
trending. I don't believe it, but that's the figures telling us. According to Litzelen, so many is the delegates are coming despite the weather. Thank God for the day. Yes, and the other one is from Dida Napoles. Allow God's Holy Spirit to transform your heart, mind, and will to enable you to love freely and generously as He loves. And this one is coming from the Basilan, Bishop Martin Homoad.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because we would always have it at Veritas, remember?
So
Martin Homoad, yes, is the one who tweeted.
Okay.
The papal visit awakened non-practicing Catholics to value the Eucharist. That's very true.
So
Thank you
isn't
very
it
much.
wonderful how we had the Pope visiting us last January, and
Yes.
a year later we're holding the International Eucharistic Congress.
So I
So
think we
there's
have
some
another
continuity there.
question
Okay.
prepared for them.
All
You have
right,
it?
our question number 3 with hashtag Eucharist Philippines or
PH,
PH
yes.
is, in what ways can I become more Eucharistic? In what
Oh,
ways can I become more Eucharistic? Can you explain that, Father Joel?
to be more Eucharistic.
Yeah, in what we have been hearing, what is it to be Eucharistic? And I think it all boils down to what happens after we have received the Christ who is present in us. So what do we do after that? How do we become more joy? How do we bring joy to others? How do we bring Christ to others? And I think the concrete example of that are the testimonies that we have heard these past 2 days.
Yes, and there will be more testimonies in the coming days.
And we would like to hear you by tweeting us your reply or responses
Yes.
to this question that we posted.
And our hashtag, once again, is hashtag Eucharist PH.
So,
So that about does it for us for today.
but again, tomorrow we will
What's
have
happening
catechesis by Reverend Thomas Minaramparam Pepil.
Wonderful.
Yes, and testimony by Paul Ponce, the family. This time we will have the family,
whole family.
giving their witnessing to the delegates.
And in the afternoon, there will be parish encounters where delegates will be able to visit different parishes around Cebu.
Wow, lucky the
So that's
delegates who will be
seeing
going around.
Faith in action. This is
Yes.
what's happening in the local scene.
Yeah,
in
that's the reason
parishes.
why there's no mass in the pavilion tomorrow. It's
Right.
because they would have it in these
the
different
parishes,
parishes.
In
Yes.
parishes.
Okay.
So again, we would like to remind you that after this broadcast, we will have another interview of our guest, Mr. Bas, on his live testimony by EWTN Chichi Robles, which we've been missing for quite some time
Yeah,
now.
she's also
yes.
busy working on that. Catholic Lives. And
Yes.
also on Shepherd's Voice, I think. We
Yes.
will be presenting, Shepherd Speak.
Yes.
It will be Cardinal Quevedo.
Cardinal
who will be interviewed.
Quevedo. We've lined up so many things. This is really not only heartwarming, but grace-filled and faith-filled programming lined up for you. Once again, this has been your friend, Brother Bernard Factor Caniaberal.
And I'm Angelique Lazo Mayuga.
Yes.
And I'm Father Joel Kamaya, Salesian of Don Bosco.
And we'll leave you with this word,
Mabuhay!